paradise. This is it. This is the place.
For many, experiencing the power and majesty of a free-flowing river is like touching the hand of God. And for some, the Futaleufu is the most spectacular whitewater river in the world. Its name is Indian in origin, meaning Great Waters. The Great Waters wind through the Patagonia region of Chile, some 1,300 kilometers south of Santiago. The Futaleufu begins its journey as melting snow high in the Andes Mountains. At first a trickle, but after dropping thousands of feet, the water grows into a churning torrent of natural power.
The beauty goes to the extremes, the river goes to the extremes, the people go to the extremes, the air. If you see the sky is not blue, it's extremely blue. The river is extremely transparent. The water is probably the most unpolluted water in the world. So it's a very attractive place.
It took nature millions of years to carve the path of the Futaleufu. Glaciers, earthquakes, and volcanoes were the hands that molded the mountains and valleys of this Andean landscape. The newcomer to this Chilean paradise? Man. Human history here is less than a century old. In 1912, the first settlers came here as farmers and ranchers, attracted to the rugged, unspoiled beauty of this place. Today, their grandchildren live and work in the same primitive environment. 10 years ago, these pioneers of Patagonia were joined by a newcomer from the United States. Chris Spelius is a North Carolina paddler and a member of the 1984 U.S. Olympic kayak team. He first came to Chile looking for the perfect whitewater river.
When I saw this river, I couldn't believe my eyes. I had never seen anything like that. I couldn't have imagined something like that in my wildest fantasies, that something like this would exist. And the first time I saw it and paddled it, it occurred to me that I would like to figure out a way to live here. I said, this is the place.
Here on the Futaleufu, far from the big city, it's easy to get lost in the beauty of nature and the awesome power of this river. But on the horizon, there's trouble looming for the Futaleufu.
Ahora, no obstante eso, Chile está creciendo económicamente.
Now, Chile is growing at a high level. This means we need to develop our energy consumption at the same level as our economic growth. And to achieve this, we have the tremendous task of searching for alternative energy sources.
Urban Chile doesn't look much like the Third World. With amenities you'd expect in any modern North American or European city, Santiago is racing toward the 21st century. Chile is growing rapidly, almost too fast. The country is going through an economic explosion which is creating a huge demand for electric power. And this is where progress runs headlong into the Futaleufu. In 1994, 4 groups submitted proposals to the government of Chile asking for the water rights to the Futaleufu. Endesa, the largest utility company in Chile, and 2 other smaller utilities submitted plans to build hydroelectric dams on the river. The electricity generated by the dam would likely power a proposed aluminum plant. The farmers and ranchers of the Futaleufu had no idea the future of this river was being debated until a newspaper report made its way back to the village. The community banded together and formed the Group of Neighbors, submitting a proposal of their own and becoming the 4th group to petition the government for the water rights to the river. The neighbors' proposal leaves the river free-flowing, allowing them to use the Futaleufu as their parents and grandparents have for the past 80 years. This is the frontier, Chile's own wild, wild west, and the farmers and ranchers of the Futaleufu are the pioneers of this still untamed land, a rugged, self-reliant bunch. They take pride in determining their own future. Summer days are long in Patagonia. The first light of a new day arrives before 5, and dark of night doesn't come until well after 10. It's a good thing, too, because there's lots to do. Farm life on the Futaleufu has never been easy. There are plenty of hardships. The river is the lifeblood of this community, part of what makes life here work, and part of what makes life worthwhile.
El río es algo hermoso porque es un río que nos da
The river is useful because it's beautiful, first of all. It adds character to the landscape, and it provides water for washing and for the animals. And in summer, we go down to the beach to fish and to wash our clothes along the shore.
Life moves at a slower pace here. The roads are rough. Four-wheel drive is a must, and even that doesn't work all the time. The terrain is so harsh, the best way to get around is on foot or horseback. That's the way the Chilean cowboys or wassos do it. For a visitor, it's a good way to see firsthand the natural beauty and simple way of life on the Futaleufu. Paddlers aren't the only sportsmen who seek out the Futaleufu. Fishermen tout the river as one of the best trout locations in the world. Chris Spelius did find a way to make the Futaleufu home, at least for 6 months out of the year. He has an adventure travel company called Expediciones Chile. It's a way of sharing his love for paddling and passion for this river with other kayakers from Europe, North America, and Japan.
This is the best resource as a whitewater river in the world that I'd ever seen. People just didn't know it yet. So I had to figure a way to get people down here. And back then, I visualized bringing people from all over the world to the best kayaking river in the world, and I visualized doing it, but I didn't know if it really would work. So getting people to Chile was very difficult at first. And now that things are going, it's a surprise to me almost that it really has happened, but it's been with a lot of effort. It's a playground and a testing ground. It's an unbelievable river resource. It's a whitewater power storm. And to negotiate those rapids takes everything that I have to plan it out and to do it just right. It's a theater. It's a theater, and it's emotional theater, watching all these people react to this and deciding what to do. The feeling coming through that flat water back to the camp, it's very calm and very satisfying. And for me, I look around, I'm glad to be alive, and I'm glad God created this earth as it is.
After a day on the river, the paddlers returned to Chris's base camp at Tres Monjes. The name means 3 nuns, symbolic of the stone guardians that overlook the landscape. It's a wilderness experience with very few creature comforts. Tents are the makeshift bedrooms, but there is an enclosed kitchen and dining room. A wood-burning stove provides heat for the sauna and showers.
The best hot water shower in Chile.
It's all reminiscent of Gilligan's Isle.
It's a kayaker's dream. We're situated right there, and everything's set up in this frontier. Life's on a platter right here in this frontier.
In Santiago, many Chileans measure progress by the same measuring stick as their North American counterparts. Modern conveniences abound, from skyscrapers to automobiles to air-conditioned shopping malls. In South America, Santiago stands out as a symbol of what is possible for an emerging country. Chile's struggle for progress has included a lot of social and political turmoil. On September 11, 1973, La Moneda, the presidential palace here on the square in Santiago, was attacked by Chile's own army and air force. When the dust settled from the military coup, President Allende was found dead in the rubble, and Army Commander Augusto Pinochet became Chile's new self-appointed dictator. It was the start of a decade and a half of revolutionary change, not only political, but economic as well. Allende's democratically elected socialist government had produced a sluggish economy and spiraling inflation. Pinochet's military dictatorship will likely be remembered most for tragic human rights violations. But history will also remember him as the man who set in motion the wheels of a growing free market economy. In 1989, by a democratic vote, Pinochet was removed from office, and once again, Chile was under democratic leadership. The economy is still growing in leaps and bounds. Population, more than 80% urban. Literacy rate, more than 90%. Per capita income is still under $3,000, but there is a growing professional middle class. Santiago is a thriving center of commerce, and successful business people here display all the symbols of success. The challenge now, how to reach the same level of development and prosperity in the rest of the country that Santiago now enjoys. As Chile has experienced, progress does not come without a price tag. In the summertime, Santiago looks a lot like Los Angeles. The smog is so bad, the nearby mountains are difficult to see. The Patagonia region also carries the scars of progress. 3 decades ago, tragedy struck. Settlers of this region were encouraged to use controlled burning as a way to clear the land for farming. What resulted was a huge forest fire that burned for 2 years, destroying much of the Patagonia forests. The charred remains of that fire still haunt the landscape today. So even though the development of Chile's rich natural resources like forestry, mining, and hydroelectric power promises prosperity, the government realizes it must be careful.
Most of our economy is based on our natural resources. So we don't care about our natural resources. We are not going to have any more future after some years.
Carlos Pina is the Director of External Affairs at Medio Ambiente, the National Commission on the Environment. Medio Ambiente is a newly created government agency with a mandate to legally protect the rights of Chileans to live in a clean, healthy environment.
We're working on the regulation for the environmental impact assessment. So when we finish with the working on the regulation in the following months, after that, every new single project, public or private, will have to have some kind of environmental impact assessment. That's something new in this country.
Every modern country runs on electricity. Chile is no exception. Much of the infrastructure for the development and distribution of hydroelectric power in Chile has been made possible by Endesa, a publicly held international company with more than $4 billion in assets. Endesa is the major player in Chile's power game. Gonzalo Benavente is a spokesperson for Pangui, a wholly owned subsidiary of Endesa.
Las otras alternativas producen una polución.
The other alternatives in comparison produce pollution to the atmosphere. However, generating hydroelectric energy is cleaner than the thermal alternative like coal burning that produce pollution to the atmosphere. Hydroelectricity is the alternative for our country. In addition, the generation of hydroelectricity is much more inexpensive in Chile than other sources. This cost savings is translated to the usage. All of us Chileans pay less for power if we produce hydroelectricity, and this helps to sustain the economic growth in our country and reduce the poverty in our country.
We haven't got much time in this life to try to save this world from the people that is every day looking at this world as a commercial place.
Sergio Nuño is the Jacques Cousteau of Chile, an outspoken environmentalist. His television program, The Land in Which We Live, often lands him in the middle of controversy.
For me, building a dam, it's so extremely serious, because when you close a valley for building a lake, you're changing the landscape forever.
In the next 30 years, Chile plans to complete more than 70 hydroelectric dam projects. Environmental groups like the Institute for Political Ecology plan to track each one. That includes the future of the Futaleufu.
It's to say that not only Endesa, but 2 other companies have asked for water rights for Rio Futaleufu and all the little rivers that come into it. for the construction of 2 big dams. They cannot allow this to happen.
Unlike the environmental mistakes of Chile's past, the paths of progress must now wind through a system of checks and balances within the government and private sectors. There's a lot of debate to come before any company or group is awarded the water rights to the Futaleufu. The research, environmental impact studies, and legal battles could take months, even years.
El agua en Chile es un bien nacional de uso público.
The water in Chile is a national resource for public consumption, even though the water rights may be a resource held privately.
This is Endesa's vision for the Futaleufu. The Biobío Dam construction is Endesa's most ambitious hydroelectric project to date.
Scheduled for completion in the spring of '97, this dam will generate 2,150 gigawatts of power each and every hour. That's enough electricity to run the whole city of Santiago.
Enough electricity to make a difference in Chile's growing economy. It will also make a difference in the landscape of the countryside, both on the surface and below. Down in this dark cavern, workers are welding the frame for what will eventually be the huge turbines, the place where the force of the water generates electricity. Electricity Chile hopes will generate prosperity.
When the dam is closed, everything in this valley will become one big reservoir. The trees, the homes that you see, everything will be underwater. And the people who live here, well, they'll have to find a new place to live.
8 families are being relocated because of the Biobío project. Endesa is providing new homes for each family on higher ground outside the floodplain.
We can do nothing against it because all the people are in favor and we are so few who are against it and nothing will be done.
But there are local residents who are happy about the dam.
That he likes a lot to have the dam built here because it's a very good improvement for the country.
Endesa knows not everyone will be happy with the construction of a dam, so it's created special departments to deal with the ecological and social challenges. Like the Futaleufu, the damming of the Biobío is controversial in Chile, but residents of the Futaleufu would like to see a different outcome on their river.
It makes me outraged. How can a private company come in and, without informing the owners of land around here, plan to take their land and flood it, and for their own development of their own schemes, financial schemes?
Why is this river important for a farmer?
The river is important, but the main thing is we don't want it dammed because it's going to put our land underwater, where we feed the animals, where we do our farming. In no way do we want the dam in there ruining our way of life.
It's a personal threat to me in my company. I'm not so worried about my company as I am worried about, I created my company so I could come here and live under this scene. I fell in love with this place. And I want to live here amongst my neighbors, and I'm willing to help them. I feel like it's my destiny to help my neighbors. They're my friends.
Chris helped form a nonprofit corporation called Futa Fund. Its mission, to protect the Futaleufu as a free-flowing river.
And remember, if John Muir didn't step up and save Yosemite and the Sierra Club saved the Grand Canyon, it wouldn't happen. Someone's got to do it. And the Sierra Club saved the Grand Canyon. And the Futa Fund wants to help Chile save the Futaleufu.
The battle over this river will ultimately be settled in court, and Futaleufu residents have a legal ally in Santiago. Fernando Duñac specializes in environmental affairs. He lost the legal battle to keep the Biobío as a free-flowing river. The government ruled the electricity the river could provide was essential to the growth and prosperity of the country. But now, armed with the new environmental law, Duñac is ready to defend the Futaleufu.
Yes, we at this moment are prepared to bring this fight to save the Futaleufu to an end. We know this is a tough fight because the Chilean state is being governed by people that don't clearly know what really is development. They confuse development with the increased consumption. In other words, the whole country is being deprived of a scenic tourism resource to benefit a private company whose only interest is to obtain benefits for its stockholders.
Endesa officials are willing to talk about existing projects and the benefits of hydroelectricity, but repeatedly refuse the opportunity to discuss the plight of the Futaleufu. Endesa says it's just a proposal, and it doesn't discuss proposals. The quandary is clear. A country in limbo, Chile is trying to foster economic growth while protecting the environment at the same time. And what about the people who live along the Futaleufu? Do they stand in the way of progress or stand fast for what is theirs? How would you feel one morning if you looked out your window and there was no longer a river there but a lake instead?
It's going to be huge. It's going to be incredibly sad. God wouldn't permit this. Only God knows what's going to happen. God wouldn't allow it.
The solution may be found in a compromise, not two sides working against one another, but two agendas which can reach an agreement. Yes, Chile needs electricity, and yes, the country's most spectacular rivers can continue to flow freely. That's exactly what Cesar Gomez wants to see. He is the director of Cernatur, Chile's Department of Tourism. Cesar believes some of Chile's most beautiful natural resources can be used to create a stronger tourism industry.
In essence, we are working so that the millions of people of the world that enjoy nature come to our country. We would offer adequate services. In this way, we would use our natural resources in a productive way, such as tourism. This is an alternative, and in our point of view, a better choice than to end with the natural life that in the past has been a reason for the destruction of many resources, not just in our country or in Latin America, but in many places around the world.
Why not save the most spectacular rivers like the Futaleufu? Other rivers could still be targeted for hydroelectric use. The debate then, which rivers would ultimately be dammed up? And who will make those decisions? It's clear there's no easy answer to the plight of the Futaleufu. The raw force in this river that attracts kayakers from around the world is the same awesome power that promises Chile's continued emergence as a world economic power. At stake is the future of the children of Chile, and the future of life on this small water planet.
In the water, there is a power we know is life. Oh, the river shares in the magic with the clouds and the rain, taking care of the water is taking care of ourselves. We cannot live without the water. We're all part of the when the world turns, there is a power that we all understand. It will feed us, take care, and receive us when we go back to the land. Taking care of the planet, taking care